Paul and Silas ministered to the Jewish community of Berea around 54 and 55 AD. The two men had been driven out of the city of Thessalonica by an angry mob for spreading the gospel there. Later, Sophater of Berea joined Paul on his journey. Good morning, everyone. This is Teacher Jim Pagalilauan, your discussant today, and I will be sharing with you the journey of Paul and Silas in Berea. We all know that Paul is one of the greatest disciples of Jesus during his time. He proclaimed the name of God. He preached his words over the people. He traveled and he listened to the instructions of Jesus. People during their time have faith in God already, but Paul have enhanced their faith through preaching and practicing their faith. Their journey was never easy. They have been through many difficulties in life. They have encountered trials and obstacles along their way. The treatment which Paul and Silas had met with in Philippi gave them no encouragement to continue their labors in Macedonia. They had been accused of violating the laws, scourged in an ignominious manner, and committed to prison. From this specimen of the dispositions of the people and their rulers, they had cause to reckon upon persecution in every city, and they had been consulted their personal safety. They would have speedily retired from a country in which it was manifestly dangerous to remain. But Paul and Silas were men of bold and with spirit. Their call to visit this region of the earth was expressed. They were certain from their commissions as well as from their experience at Philippi, where some persons had been converted, that their exertions should not prove altogether vain, and they were willing to contribute to the glory of Jesus Christ and the salvation of souls at the hazard of their lives. Hence, upon leaving Philippi, they went forward to Thessalonica, the capital of Macedonia. His purpose or his mission is to preach the name of God with repentance and remissions of sin among all nations, beginning at Jerusalem. They probably considered this order as an intimation, and they should in every instance offer salvation to their own countrymen before they turn to the Gentiles. The success of Paul was contemplated by the unbelieving Jews with great dissatisfaction. They were offended at the doctrine which he preached, and the more displeased because it was favorably received by some of their own countrymen and by many of the Greeks. Religion is artfully loaded with false imputations because it is only by this expedient that its adversaries can hope to expose it to hatred and contempt. Were it exhibited in its genuine character, it might not command the sincere esteem and cheerful submission of all to its authority, but scarcely any man would be bold enough to avow opposition to it. The Jews, by their false accusation of Paul and Silas, troubled the people and the rulers of the city, who were probably afraid of being punished for allowing another king to be proclaimed in Thessalonica. As the offenders themselves, however, they could not be found. They were satisfied with taking security from Jason and other brethren, that they would behave like good subjects and exert themselves to preserve the peace of the city. It being no longer safe for Paul and Silas to remain in Thessalonica, the brethren immediately sent them away night unto Berea. To coming thither went into synagogue of the Jews. The duties and the difficulties which we may encounter in the course of our duty will not justify us in abandoning it. When Paul and Silas found it necessary to leave Philippi, they repaired to Thessalonica, and upon meeting with opposition in Thessalonica, they went to Berea. Persecuted in one city, they fled to another, not to remain there in concealment and inactivity, but to persist in the perilous work of the preaching of the gospel. Christians are not indeed required to disregard the suggestions of prudence and to expose themselves once only to danger, but in the way which Providence has clearly marked out of them. They should resolutely advance without turning to the right hand or to the left. If we perform our duty when it is easy and safe, but neglect it, when accompanied with trouble and danger, it is manifest that the principle of our obedience is wrong. Sincere love to God and reverence for His authority would operate with a steady influence upon our minds in the diversified situations and occurrences of life. The work of God in our redemption is great and wonderful, comprehending all time, embracing all events which in one way or another are rendered subservient to it, and its consequences stretching into eternity. It is worthy to be studied and cannot be contemplated without admiration of praise. Thank you for listening for this short presentation with regard to the journey of Paul and Silas in Berea. God bless.